It often feels like I'm working when everybody else is playing, and that's okay with me. This is Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. I was working today on burning up some wood that I've been saving to make charcoal. So I made charcoal for the homestead here, and the charcoal will be ground down, mixed with compost, and then through that composting process get inoculated and be put on garden beds. You can click a link below and get access to that tutorial. If we've got the link straight here, you'll find one of the many methods that we use to turn scrap wood, brush, tree trimming, turn it all into charcoal and then into biochar. It's a great resource. Creates a microbial environment for your garden that really builds soil health and fertility. But I'm busting my ass. It's like 90 degrees out there. I'm out there in the heat. And I do hear some other people working here and there. But I'm working and I start hearing neighbors, relaxing on their porches. It's a Saturday. I hear one neighbor out in the yard and their dog is barking like crazy. And they're out in the yard and they don't make the dog quiet. That's kind of irritating. But ultimately, I'm working till about 9 o'clock at night. And I've cooked dinner during this and, put something in the oven so that I could be out working while that was finishing up. But ultimately, a lot of times, even in the workplace, it seems like I'm working while everybody else is just taking their sweet old time. And that's okay with me. And the reason why it's okay with me and should be okay with you, that very often you're out there planting the seeds, caring for the plants, and then I'll have this harvest, and others look at you like you did something wrong because they haven't put in that much effort. I'm okay with working while others take it easy because I know it's worth it. I know that the outcome that I'm creating is worth the effort put into it. Now, don't get me wrong, I do relax and I do enjoy some of my work. So I was sitting in the shade, just doing some video. I find it entertaining to do videos and tutorials and build training modules because when I was getting started, I didn't really have training videos that made any sense. And what I do is I actually record all the videos and then go through and edit them. And so you can kind of see the results rather than just, hey, maybe if I do this or I read it in a book somewhere. It's really practical. But my point being is that when the coronavirus hit, I didn't have to go find toilet paper. I already had toilet paper at the house. We have a pantry management system that we talk about at Prosperity Homestead. I actually use it, which means you have a pantry and you regularly buy items, many times in bulk, and you maintain the inventory of items, and those items that are priority are there all the time. And you reorder them and they show up at your house and you save a lot of time. I have canned goods. I have food. I have emergency supplies. I have, we have tornadoes and hurricanes and wet seasons and dry seasons. I have materials ready for that. And when you are constantly working, make sure you're working towards something, but don't be concerned if you're the only one working. See, because of each activity I do moves me forward and towards the goals and objectives that I have, I don't mind doing while others are sitting by. Now, I do think it's unfair that many have not saved for retirement, yet my tax dollars are paying for their long-term support. I think it's unfair to the individuals to give them money rather than giving them opportunities. In the World War II, people had victory gardens, and folks that didn't have a victory garden had community gardens, and everyone worked together through the community and grew their own food. That's the basics. They didn't get a check from the government to go to the grocery store. There wasn't food at the grocery store. They worked together as a community to create food for themselves. Many of the things that you need every day can be provided locally. One of my frustrations with coronavirus is, for example, is that it's okay to have Walmart open. It's okay to have Target and Lowe's and these big box stores open, but why is it not okay to have a small business open? Why is it not okay to have your hair salon open or your service business open? I believe that if individuals take proper precautions, there's not going to be any problems. And people who are working with their neighbors will certainly work to have things work out well for everybody. So again, I work because I enjoy it. I'm cultivating nature and creating an habitat and environment for myself, for my lifestyle, for my family. You might be doing the same thing, starting plants, raising seedlings, putting them out, taking care of them, and enjoying the harvest. When the harvest comes, which it always does, you can have a drought, you can have a bad season, but you never have a bad lifetime if you're willing to put in the effort, if you're willing to plant the seed, if you're willing to cultivate. Again, cultivation, culture. If you're willing to take care of yourself so that you can take care of neighbors, to make your own family strong first, then contribute to the community. Now, it sounds a little selfish that I'm working for me rather than working for we, but what value am I if I don't bring anything to the table? It's like a potluck. If everybody shows up at the potluck and doesn't bring a dish, there's a problem. And if you bring a dish that you don't like, that you know everybody else likes, but you don't like it, there's a problem there too. In the first case, if nobody brings a dish, nobody eats. If you're hoping someone else would have a dish and you could just mooch off of that, and that's not going to happen. If everybody brings dishes that they don't like, but they believe others will like, well, you're not always going to know what other people like, and you may end up with nothing to eat. The best thing is to make something that you enjoy and you enjoy sharing with others. Then when you get there to the party, in worst case scenario, you eat your own dish. Best case scenario, everyone else will have something that they enjoy and that they would want to share with you. And then there's conversation, there's community, there's growth. Prosperity Homestead is about having options. Very often, the selfishness is not long-term selfish. It is an enlightened self-interest that means you'll plant a little bit more each year. And maybe often you'll have more in the garden than you can eat, and you'll have the opportunity to share it. You'll have the opportunity to give to someone who's in need. You plant a little bit and you store up a little bit for the hard seasons. You know that sometimes there'll be droughts and sometimes there'll be rainy seasons. There'll be a variety of things. That's what I like about permaculture, is that there's a polyculture environment there that builds seed banks in the soil so that when you do have odd seasons, you might have plants you haven't seen in a while. Those plants will come up in the right conditions. Many of them are edible. Many of them are perennial, so that you can keep providing for yourself. The food forest concept, a forest that has food. That's great. That's a great concept. I like the community garden concept because it provides for people both socially and it provides for people on a nutrition and health level. All these things and more come together and create prosperity, wealth beyond just the financial means, but wealth including heirloom vegetables with viable seed, wealth including, in this case, soil. I'm building soil. I'm composting. I'm mulching. I'm creating charcoal rather than just burning wood. And of course, if you attend the tutorial, you'll see that the volume of the original wood is retained because I'm actually gasifying and burning off only the volatiles in the wood. And I'm doing it at such a high temperature that there's little or no carbon into the atmosphere. It's mostly water vapor and some carbon dioxide. But it is more carbon neutral than just piling the wood up and letting it rot. Now, there are other options that we can talk about another program. The key is don't ever look at your work and say, "Oh, I'm working and why aren't I enjoying? I'm working and someone else is enjoying." It doesn't matter. Work for the enjoyment of the work. Work for your own reasons. Work for self-enlightened outcomes, and work so that you have a little bit of abundance. It's the abundance that makes possible the service to community. It's the abundance that makes possible the coverage in an emergency. And it's the abundance that makes possible the reward for your effort. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. I want to thank you for listening to what we've covered here today. If you have questions about this or anything else, I'm here to help you cultivate a small farm, homestead, or estate so that it grows your prosperity. You can write us at www.prosperityhomestead.org or open a ticket there. I'm always interested in answering your questions. Thanks for listening.